What do you do with a $10 purchase from a train show that's been sitting in water and who knows what else? Well, you buy it and you bring it back to life. Next on the Cloverdale Transit Authority. The sponsor of today's video is Beltline Hobbies. They have tens of thousands of parts going back into the post-war era and earlier. Lionel, MTH, all kinds of O-gauge stuff. Check them out, beltlinehobbies.com. All right, let's get into this thing. This is a 2026 1948 Lionel that I picked up at a train show for $10, and it is a mess. It's rusted, the motor's locked up, it's been sitting in water, as I mentioned, and so I've already started to work some of the rust inhibitor spray in there. And forgive the handheld stuff because I really want to get in and show you this thing. And so after getting the shell off, looking at the motor didn't really make things look much better. I mean, wiring's pretty good, but boy, it's dirty, and the smoker is just packed full of crap. So, and you can see, boy, the armature is black. It's not supposed to be black. And there's just crud on everything. And you can see that the metal parts are anodized and the driver rods are pitted. And then eventually, I'm taking the brushes out of here. The brushes are black. Those aren't supposed to be black either. Yeah, I mean, it's just grimy. So, a lot of people at this point would either throw it back in a box or throw it in the trash. But I'm committed, and thanks to people like my friend Kyle at Beltline Hobbies and War Music, the post-war guy on YouTube, I'm committed. I've done the research, I've looked at the information, and I think, hey, I can do this. So as I start disassembling this thing, you can see as an example with this this gear plate, you just wipe your finger over it and the grime starts coming off. So if you really start working on it with some oil and Scotch-Brite pad and I use a wire brush on a Dremel tool and just a rag, you can see the stuff start coming back. And once you really get close in on this here, you can see why this motor's locked up. I mean, the gears have rust built, but it's just enough to hold it, so a little penetrating oil will start doing the trick. And here you can see the armature. It really looks great from just a little Scotch-Brite pad, and it was rusted solid, so now we're starting to work this motor loose. And there it goes. So just some grease, some oil, clean the brushes, clean the armature plate, all that cleaning in just a little bit. And the next thing you know, we've got magic. Hey, look at that. So a little contact cleaner on the E-unit and a little help, and the motor is going. So next I started tackling the shell. I scrubbed that down with Dawn dishwashing liquid and a soft toothbrush, and I'll continue to work on it with some WD-40. But also I replaced some parts that really were weak and they were pitted and rusted, and I was afraid they were going to fail during operating the locomotive, so I replaced those with some reproduction parts. But other parts like these crosshead guides and these driving rods, I cleaned these up with the Dremel tool with a little wire wheel on it and Scotch-Brite pad, and they really came back to life. Now you can see as I've started putting this back together, the valve head assembly guides, they were really bad. So those got replaced with some reproduction parts. And here's another example. This eccentric crank spacer on here, I replaced that with a reproduction part. The other side was fine, but as you can see, the part that they had in there, this isn't even a part. Somebody made a little metal ring to replace a spacer that got broken or lost or whatever. And then I got down to the most challenging part to fix, or in this case, replace. So this is the little contact plate at the bottom where the contact shoes that pull power from the track are. And back then, they made them out of this fiberboard, which was really the crappiest part you could have. And the motor soldered to this, and and that's where it got the power. And also, various versions of this also had the headlamp power pulling off this, but I decided to go the traditional route since I had to replace the headlamp wire. And this thing just fell apart because it had been soaked in water. So I was very fortunate that Kyle at Beltline Hobbies had a new old stock part of this, and we were able to put this in. But man, it is not easy because you have to use a spreader to pull the motor housing slightly apart to snap this in. This was really a sort of a bad design, and I'm sure the Lionel technicians were able to fix these things when they were repairing engines, but it's one of those things that makes it difficult for the person who's trying to restore these things after 75 years. Yeah, so there it is. Looks so much better, and of course, this will make the train, the locomotive, run better because we've got some good, clean parts up in there, and that was where all the electricity flows to, and then gets up and runs the motor. So we want that to be good. Yeah, so you saw some of the parts that I got to fix the headlamp and put a new headlamp wire in there. I'm going to run it the traditional way off of the E-unit as opposed to off of the contact plate, which was an alternate way that Lionel ran it, and this was originally set up that way. So here she is. Looks like a completely different locomotive. Also, this has been a pretty rapid video, so if you want to see a complete disassembly, I'll leave a link to Warren Muzek's video. But, you know, the thing about it is that she's got some new parts. She's even got 2 new jewels. I know you want to see it run. I want to see it run. Let's see it run. Well, I'll tell you, it's a really good runner, and it's a good smoker too. Boy, I'll tell you. But I will say also that this is not the tender that came with it. Yes, I did get the tender for $10. Can you believe that? The locomotive and tender. But one of the things that that I'm going to be doing next is the restoration on the tender. It's got the same rust problem, but this came with a 6466 tender. This is actually the 6466 from my other 2026. So I just wanted to hook it up here and put the vintage cars on there and let it run and get a chance to stretch her legs and let you see how the work all turned out. Well, I'll tell you, I really enjoyed this project. It was kind of a challenge. It wasn't something that I'd really done before, kind of a down and dirty buildup of something that really was really in bad shape, but fortunately, all the bones were there. I've got another video coming up. I'm working on a pre-war 1666 Lionel, so I'm looking forward to that project as well. Anyway, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to click subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to be notified when we put out another video. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys on the next video.